sant yàlla.
looy xaar utal Wave nga scan nga fay te nag doo ci yokku dara.
Jar Oil, the company, have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
In the Gambia, we all move to different paces. Time is money, convenience is power, and now both are in your hands. No more long lines, no more late payments, no more missed chances, not anymore. Because now the Gambia has its own super app, Zap. One app, one tap, endless convenience. Send money instantly, pay your bills in seconds, shop without borders, pay your rides, order your meal, buy your ticket, deposit and withdraw money for absolutely free. No extra charges, no hidden fees, only on Zap Super App. This is not just convenience. This is confidence. This is the future in your hands. And the best part, Zap is born right here. Built for us, designed for every Gambian home, every Gambian dream. So don't wait in the past. Step into the future. Download Zap today on App Store and Play Store and enjoy endless free services. Call us today on our toll-free number 1666 or on 260-0001. Zap, all in one, all for you. Tap in, zap in.
On Monday, the 23rd of February 2026, you're listening to Coffee Time with Peter Gomez, and I am Aji Jagab Khan. Our today's special guest is Honorable Ebrima Sillah, Minister of Transport, Works and Infrastructure. He joins us fresh from assuming the chairmanship of the Maritime Organization of Western Central Africa, a regional body that plays a critical role in shaping maritime policy, port development, and cooperation across 25 countries. Stepping back to the national picture, what would you say are the top infrastructure priorities for the Barrow government in 2026?
Well, His Excellency, the President, has always said, and anytime he talks, it strikes me because they are at the core of any development activity. When you ask him about his priority, he will tell you infrastructure. Priority number 2, infrastructure. Priority number 3, infrastructure. Because, and I can understand why, because in order to develop this country, we have to focus on negligible areas that have for long been thought to be less important to the overall economic development of this country. We have seen how 50 years now, our roads in most part of the rural areas are still like, tracks, animal tracks, or, for horse carts or donkey carts. And opening up these rural communities, linking them up with markets, with health facilities, with educational facilities, with agricultural centers, has brought about immense opportunities, has even reduced, in some cases, rural-urban drift. Because when people see opportunities in their communities, they have electricity, they have water, they have roads, they have TVET centers, because many of the TVET centers are in the rural areas. They have good schools. It is now helping them to stay. I was surprised in our last tour of the rural areas, with the NRA. We went to a community in CRR North, just after Karantaba, in Reneru. We found...
Never heard of that place.
It's very close to Senegal on the northern side, in the Same constituency. We found a herdsman there. Surprisingly, all his houses are mud houses, thatch roofs. And in the middle of the herd, they use these water bottles. And then, they put these electricity poles inside, and then that could really provide electricity for the farm, for the cattle range.
Okay.
And then they were late at night. They were doing the milking, and then when I approached the guy, I said, "Well, people outside of this region don't understand the importance of why we are talking about electricity, because before that type of night, you would dare not do that type of thing because they were afraid of snakes.
Yes.
But because wherever there is electricity, there is light, snakes actually run away from that place.
Yeah.
So now they can take their time at night, because during the day is hot.
Yes.
So they can take their time at night and bring in this type of light systems where they put the bulb in the bottle of water, water bottle, empty water bottle, and then it lightens the whole place, and then they can milk, they can do other activities. So really, I mean, electricity expansion in this country has really not only opened up the country, but has brought in untapped economic opportunities even for the rural beneficiaries. And that is why when President says, I mean, infrastructure, I can understand.
Yes.
Because being somebody who comes from the rural area and also somebody who did part of his youthful life in the urban area, he could relate to the economic opportunity here and the disadvantages of not having those type of facilities in the rural areas. And now being the president, you have an overall view, panoramic view of what you need to do to ensure that those services are made available. First, to make sure that people benefit directly, and then, also improve on their economic conditions.
Yes.
And then help young people to stay. If you go to many of these areas behind Basse or Bansang, or even in some parts of North Bank region towards the border where you have electricity, surprisingly, you have a lot of welding workshops that are coming up. So these are providing lifeline opportunities for farmers to repair their agricultural implements within their own communities. They don't have to travel all the way to Bara or Bansang or Basse, as it were, or Brikamaba, but they now do it within their own communities and faster, and then farming become more efficient and effective. Then you also have other opportunities, making beds, making farming implements and other things. So really, the opportunities are immense, and I think that is why it's not only about roads, because I see President's infrastructure initiative within 3 highly interlinked areas. If you do the roads, you also want to link those roads to economic development opportunities for people in the rural areas in terms of agriculture, in terms of trade. Then you also have electricity infrastructure, so that when people now produce, they can have places where they can store these things in electrified, warehouses or, storage facilities. And more importantly, the overall economic benefit that this thing actually converge. So really, I think, when I hear sometimes people say that, investing in infrastructure does not change lifestyle. So, people don't eat infrastructure. But what you eat, for it to be made available to you, it has to pass through that infrastructure. For example, in the rural areas, you have to drive on a road to bring your agricultural produce from communities that were not connected to now these areas where they sell and buy groundnut dessecos. You also need health infrastructure to be able to live a healthy life. You need educational infrastructure. In 2017, when this government came, and up to now, I do see those type of things on the social media, that people will say, well, our children are sitting on the ground. But now that is reduced at its bare minimum, because the educational infrastructure from 2017 to now, the improvement is phenomenal. The health infrastructure we are also getting there. There are a lot of now good health centers coming up across the country, in different parts of the country. Before, we used to have primary healthcare system, by the way, which is extremely very good. But we have to really link our primary healthcare system with the needed infrastructure, so that when people get sick and at the primary level they cannot be handled, it can be taken at the secondary level so that the hospitals, the health centers, can be able to treat these people, but also with the availability of the necessary drugs, and services at these hospitals. And that is why infrastructure related to roads, hospitals and health facilities and electricity are critical, because when you build those health facilities, you don't have electricity there. You have to be forced to buy solar panels, which in some cases may not be able to power the entire facility for 24 hours. So really, I think for the president and his government, infrastructure is key. Look at the University of the Gambia. I mean, where in fact I have seen Mr. Njai Taf, did a very good live, Facebook commentary, when he visited the university, that he thought, the facilities that he saw, the buildings that he showed, the modernity of those buildings are, they can match any of the European university facilities.
Global standard.
Yes, global standard. So this is very important. And within that environment of the infrastructure drive, we are also working to ensure that the necessary transport initiatives are there to be able to carry this development along. That is why the Ministry of Transport, Works and Infrastructure is coming up with the transport master plan, the integrated transport master plan that will integrate air, maritime and land transport systems, including trains and trams and transmodal systems that will carry and power this infrastructure drive that the president is doing. And more importantly, this is one project that is very dear to the president, which is called the Fleet Renewal Project. The Fleet Renewal Project is to work with truck owners, commercial vehicle owners, and commercial transporters to renew their fleets from old vehicles to new one. And already we are working with the World Bank on this very good initiative, where the study will come out very soon to pilot it here in the Gambia. Initially, the missing link was if you start this, who is going to buy the raw material? Because what it is all about is that if you are a vehicle owner, you Ajijogab, you are a commercial vehicle owner, and we are encouraging, gender parity in this, so that women can also be, commercial vehicle owners. So you come with your old vehicle, it is valued, and then the foundry here, which is doing rods, they are manufacturing rods in this country, you go and sell it to them. And then the amount of money that you have becomes your investment. It's your equity in the project. Then you go to the bank, the seed money is there, then they will give you a new vehicle. And this will serve several purposes. One, it will deal with environmental problems that we have related to, vehicle exhaustions of bad emission. But it will also provide, employment, and it will also bring about durability of the vehicles that we have. So, this is one initiative that the government intends to roll out very soon. His Excellency, the President, has directed that we fast track this. The studies are almost ready, and initial plans are afoot. So this will also help modernize the transport, commercial transport system in this country.
You've talked about a lot of interesting things that are to happen. And how is the ministry addressing concerns about maintenance, durability, and value for money? Because there's a lot going on. Yes,
a lot is going on. Under the Gambia infrastructure project, which we are implementing with the World Bank, remember the World Bank is supporting us to do studies for 500 kilometers of roads. And out of these 500, they are going to fund directly 150 kilometers. But that project has different components. The fleet renewal project that I told you about is part of that, but also the maintenance component. Because yes, in this country, we've been building so many roads, especially since 2017. But maintenance has always been a problem. That is why under the Gambia infrastructure project, funds will be created to cater purposely and solely for maintenance issues. And, we are also developing an infrastructure master plan that will ensure that the maintenance is at the core of this master plan.
let's look at the urban congestion, especially in the Greater Banjul area. It remains a challenge.
Yes.
What interventions are planned to improve mobility and public transport efficiency?
Well, two prompts that we are using on this. First is to increase our spending in public transport initiative, but not big buses, because we have realized that the roads are small, and if you have many big buses trooping either from Brikama to Banjul or from Banjul to Brikama, they create congestion. But what we are doing in that is to ensure that we have many buses of public interest that can be used. Secondly is to increase our investment and construction activities on the urban roads. Right now, we have already identified about 35 kilometers of roads within the KMC only.
Okay.
And this is going to be increased to probably 60 or 65 by the time the studies are done. Because we are currently studying 1,250 kilometers of roads across the country.
Okay.
And KMC, the National Road Authority, the NRA, actually last year or year before last, did a survey of roads, and approximately we have about 200 kilometers of roads throughout the KMC. And in order to modernize this, now we have to do a proper feasibility study, detailed designs of these roads and their drainage systems, so that we can start the work. But for a start, between 35 and 65 kilometers of roads are going to be part of our new roads infrastructure program. And in addition to that, we have identified additional 33 kilometers of roads for under the World Bank project for KMC. So if we are able to do 100 of this initiative, the World Bank and us, then that means that significant chunk of the roads within the KMC are going to be really paved with a proper drainage system. And that will also help decongest the major highways, because what is happening is that a lot of people are using the highway or the major third road, because it is very difficult, especially during the rainy season, to use some of these roads within the off-highway areas.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, by all indications, infrastructure is very expensive.
Yeah.
How is the government balancing domestic financing, donor support, and public-private partnerships to deliver these projects?
Well, to start with the last part of the question, the public-private partnership, we are considering a few areas for toll roads, because that's where the private sector is mainly interested in. When you roll out infrastructure projects like roads and you invite the private sector, they look at the immediate cost benefit for them.
Yes.
I mean, and toll roads actually come to mind. And that is why the bypass that we are thinking to do from Stinkona going all the way to Siliti, all the way to the border with the Gambia after Jiboro, is critical. That we have that. That will be definitely a toll road, so that goods that come from Banjul port, they stand for third countries like Bissau and other end of Senegal, will pass through that one. We are also thinking of additional toll road from Sanyang, because the deep sea port will be there, through a bypass that is going to go through between Gunjur and Katong, going all the way to Jiboro, to the border, so that they don't have to come through congested places like Brikama, then passing through the communities there. So that is one with the private sector. Now for the donors, yes, until this project intervention by the World Bank, there have been significant improvement in terms of donor presence on our roads. The Battle Hadin, now OIC roads. We partnered with the Islamic Development Bank, the Saudi, the Badia, the Arab Bank for Development, and the Kuwaiti Fund. And these three agencies have been supporting the Gambia over the years in implementing road projects in this country. And then we are going to strengthen our collaborative partnership with them on that. However, donors will only come into your country when they see that you are also making your own effort. And that is why the Gambia government came up with a very, very interesting initiative. We presented this in our last Ministers of Works meeting of ECOWAS countries, where, we have this fuel levy. Yes. That goes to the NRA as road fund. Like say every liter of fuel, probably I think $6 or $7 is reserved for the development of roads. And this has helped ease pressure on the national budget. And the government is really very innovative in this. So we put this together, we put it in ring fence account, and then, we float it in the capital market. Then the capital market, the financing institutions like the banks and other credit unions will come in and participate and buy the bonds and then put in the money, and then they can see how much is coming. So within a given period of time, this money is remitted to them, and that is a very good initiative. Through that, we have been able to do a lot of roads, and it has also built the confidence of the government to even venture more into this kind of partnership within the country. Using local budget through a blended financing system, or model with the private sector in this country to, power the development activities of the country.
Honorable Minister, the public is eager to hear about the new green ferry expected in Banjul. What stage is the project at, and when can the Gambians realistically expect to see it in service?
Thank you, Aji. The Jarankas have told me not to say much about this because Nyomi is going to be the biggest beneficiary. But I will bail the cat out of the box to say that we are expecting the green ferry here by the 17th of March, with all things being equal, because it is being transported from Holland, to Banjul directly. And we are expecting that once it arrives, it will be floated, and then, President will choose a date to inaugurate it.
Okay. What makes, this ferry green? What improvements will it bring with it in terms of efficiency, emissions, safety and passenger experience, if you like?
Well, until now, all our ferries use heavy fuel. Completely, and solely dependent on that, and is not environmentally really efficient and effective. So this ferry, it has batteries, it has solar, but it also has fuel that with minimal use. So the ferry operation now will be more efficient, cheaper for them, but also efficient because it uses energy systems that are really very clean and efficient, like solar and batteries.
Beyond the ferry, what is the country's broader vision for modernizing the Gambia's maritime transport system, be it the ports, the river transport, safety, or even technology?
Well, that's a very interesting question. As you know, we are transitioning from Banjul to Sanyang, where we are going to have a big deep sea port, which can match with any other port facility in terms of infrastructure, modernity, but also technology needed in that place. So, that is one area. The second thing is that we are also, building capacity of our people to be ready for this type of investments and improvements within our marine ecosystem. And the investment in the new green ferry is one direction to that, because you need new technologies to be able to really, develop your marine systems. And as I told you at the very beginning of this program, many of the shipping, lines now, and also, companies that build new modern vessels, they are moving away from heavy metals. All right, they are using eco-friendly materials to build vessels, to build boats, to build ferries, and we will definitely have to embrace that as a country as well, for several reasons, because we have a lot of those waste materials, flying all over in this country and serving as environmental hazard, which is really plastic, all
over the place.
All over the place, So, in Ethiopia, there is a pilot project that is already been implemented, and also South Africa. And I think it will be a great opportunity for the Gambia to be one of the first country in West Africa to have this type of facility. The chairman of the Gambia Ports Authority, Uncle Kebanjai, and I had a very good discussion with Damen. We floated this last year when we were there. We had a preliminary discussion of it, casually, but this time, we thought it should be serious. And solely when they come to Banjul for the inauguration of the new ferry, the Bara, definitely I think we would have been ready with some talking points with them, on this very important strategy.
Finally, Honorable Minister, what message do you have for the public as you take on this regional leadership role while steering the country's infrastructure agenda?
Well, to say that the Gambia is ever ready for business, the Gambia is ever ready to modernize its maritime infrastructure. The Gambia is ever ready to continue to build capacity of its agents within the ecosystem, and that the government has the political will.
Yes.
The country is stable, and we should not joke with the stability, because that is why people are attracted to this country. Our small size and our lack of resources notwithstanding, there is a lot of respectability, within the maritime, environment, in the region, in West and Central Africa and beyond, because people want to come to places where they can find peace and then invest there and then, see a multiplier effect. So therefore, I think, we all owe it to this country and generations to come to contribute, individually and severally to the maintenance and nurturing of that peace and stability. And we thank our security forces for the wonderful job they are doing in making all of us secure, in making our marine environment secure, and also in making our marine, blue economy products and also resources secure.
Thank you very much, Minister. And once again, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Aji.
And we were talking there to Honorable Minister Ebrima Sillah, Minister of Transport, Works and Infrastructure, and the new chairperson of the Maritime Organization of West and Central Africa. I have been Aji Jogab Khan. That ends it for this edition of Coffee Time with Peter Gomez.
Santa Yala. Nga xaar utal Wave nga scan nga fay te nag doo ci yokku dara.
Jar Oil, the company, have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
In the Gambia, we all move to different paces. Time is money, convenience is power, and now both are in your hands. No more long lines, no more late payments, no more missed chances, not anymore. Because now the Gambia has its own super app, Zap. One app, one tap, endless convenience. Send money instantly, pay your bills in seconds, shop without borders, pay your rides, order your meal, buy your ticket, deposit and withdraw money for absolutely free. No extra charges, no hidden fees, only on Zap Super App. This is not just convenience. This is confidence. This is the future in your hands. And the best part, Zap is born right here. Built for us, designed for every Gambian home, every Gambian dream. So don't wait in the past. Step into the future. Download Zap today on App Store and Play Store and enjoy endless free services. Call us today on our toll-free number 1666 or on 260-0001. Zap. All in one. All for you. Tap in. Zap in.